Good morning, everybody, and welcome to day 17 as we continue our journey from Jesus' triumphal entry to his resurrection and his final days on earth. Today we are going to be jumping into the guard that was placed at the tomb. We find this in Matthew 27 verses 62. The next day on the Sabbath, the leading priests and Pharisees went to see Pilate. They told him, "Sir, we remember what that deceiver once said while he was still alive. After 3 days I will rise from the dead. So we request that you seal the tomb until the third day. This will prevent his disciples from coming and stealing his body and then telling everyone that he was raised from the dead. If that happens, we'll be worse off than we were at first." Pilate replied, "Take guards and secure it the best you can." So they sealed the tomb and posted guards to protect it. So the first thing we see here is the Jewish leaders running to Pilate because they're afraid that what they did wasn't enough to stop the movement that Jesus had created. And the interesting thing here is that it says on the Sabbath, the high priest went to Pilate. Now, this is really interesting because the high priests were actually violating their own rules when it came to the Sabbath. There was supposed to be no work being done on the Sabbath. And they definitely were not supposed to be in the presence of a Gentile during that time. Yet that was the first place they ran to. And their biggest concern was that Jesus was actually going to raise from the dead, or that his disciples were going to show up and steal his body and make it appear that he was raised from the dead. And this was concerning to them because they had their reputations to be worried about. They were very concerned that people were going to believe that they had murdered the Messiah. They had handed the Messiah over to the Roman government to be murdered. And if this was the case, the people would have wanted justice. They had been believing their entire lives for the Messiah to come. Yet, when he showed up, they completely missed him and they murdered him. But imagine being one of the Jews who realized that they actually did murder the Messiah. And they were waiting for the promises that God had told them that he was going to rise again in 3 days. So they just set up another obstacle in the course of allowing this to come to pass and in the fulfillment of the prophecy. Now Pilate agreed and he allowed them to take guards to be set up at the tomb. And we'll see very soon that that doesn't work. Jesus still resurrects. He's still God. What he says is still going to come to pass every single time, and there's really nothing man can do to stop it. If you really think about it, the Pharisees was on either side of the coin. Either they really believed that the Messiah had been murdered because of all the signs that had happened since Jesus died on the cross. The veil was torn, the earth shook, the sky went dark upon his death. There is a possibility that some of the Pharisees were changing their minds. They had doubts. They second guessed what had just happened. On the other side, you could fall so deep into being deceived that you start to believe the lie. And they could actually believe that the disciples would have shown up and stolen the body in order to continue the lie and in order to push forth the message to get revenge on the Jewish leaders. And the Bible doesn't really say for sure which thought pattern they believed the most. But at the end of the day, we know that the guard really wasn't going to help the situation, but for them, it gave them a state of security. So this is a very short video today, but it's very interesting to see that the place they run to for help is once again the Roman government, when the Jews were completely against the Romans. Yet, when it came to this problem, it seemed to be their only option. I hope you have a great day. Bye.